Have you ever sent out dozens of resumes to recruiters and heard nothing back? You know you have got the skills, you have built projects, you have solved tough problems, but hiring managers, they never even call. Here's the truth, most resumes don't fail because of a lack of talent, they fail because of how the talent is presented. Hi, I'm Ritesh and welcome back to Tech Talk with Ritesh. Over the years, I have reviewed hundreds of resumes from fresh graduates to senior engineers for various enterprise systems and product companies. Short, vague lines like worked on APIs or built UI. Vague bullet don't say what you actually did, what tech stack you have used, what scale you handled, or what outcome you produced. Recruiters or the ATS, which is applicant tracking system, can't assess your skill level from a generic line. Use the what, how, and why format. State what you built, how you built it, and why it mattered. So, for example, maybe you write worked on backend APIs, whereas a strong example should be build REST APIs in Node.js and Express to support 100k plus monthly users, reducing average response latency by 30%. Not clearly listing languages, frameworks, tools, or platforms you have used. Recruiters and ATS use keywords to filter resumes. If your stack is not visible, you may be filtered out even if you have the needed right experience. Have a concise skill technical section grouped by maybe front end, back end, cloud, DevOps, DBs, and mention these key tools within your project bullet points. If you mention built microservices for internal tools, it is just vague. Whereas you could have mentioned developed containerized microservices using Spring Boot and Docker, automated CI/CD via Jenkins, deployed on AWS EKS. Listing tasks, for example, implemented feature X without context about the problem or outcome. How hiring managers want to know you can identify problem and own solutions. So use like, for example, there was a problem, I took this action, and because I took this action, it gave me that result. Describe the issue what you have done and the measurable outcome. So instead you say built authentication service, you could have just mentioned fixed race condition in authentication service by adding distributed locks and retries, improving login success rate from 85% to 99.5%, for example. This one is my favorite. Filling bullets with corporate fluff, leverage synergies, drove innovations, cutting edge paradigms. These buzzwords don't communicate your skill. They make your resume harder to sometimes even read and less credible. Be direct and technical. Say what you did and the impact. So, a weak example would be I leveraged cross functional synergies to deliver innovative product features, blah blah. Instead, integrated Stripe payments to enable international checkout, which increased successful transaction by 18%. So I'm giving the quantitative result, what I'm receiving after this implementation. Resumes that are purely technical tasks with no mention of team processes, communication, or collaboration. Modern engineering is collaborative. Companies look for engineers who can work with product design, QA, and stakeholders. Not everyone needs to be a talker, but you must be a collaborator. Mention agile practices, sprint responsibilities, code reviews, mentoring, or stakeholder interactions, and the result of that collaboration. So instead, you just mention that I developed this UI component. You could have just mentioned I worked in 2 week or maybe 3 week agile sprint, whichever is applicable for you. I worked with PMs, designers to deliver a React based UI that reduced onboarding time by 25%. I reviewed PRs and mentored maybe 2 or 3 junior developers. Saying build dashboard without explaining who used it, the domain or scale, Context tells reviewers whether your experience mapped to their needs or not. Enterprise with startup, B2B, B2C, user scale, regulatory domain, etc. etc. So add a one line context phrase: domain, company size, user base, business impact before the bullet. So instead, you say that implemented reporting module. Where I'm not sure what is this module. You could just mention for a B2B HR SaaS used by 15k plus HR admins, developed a reporting module with React and maybe some database. And to visualize monthly, it can be used for retention metrics, and it will reduce the manual analysis time by maybe 30 to 40%. This one is important, using the exact same resume for every application, because different roles want different signals. Maybe the job description has mentioned individual contributor role, but whereas your resume is for team collaboration, for example. So you need to align that in your resume. Also, the tools like ATS look for specific keywords. So my recommendation is maybe keep a master resume and create tailored versions, emphasize relevant project tools and reorder bullets so that most relevant items appear first, which are listed in the job description. Build an app for college, and this one is very specific for freshers. So build an app for college with no detail about role, what is the complexity, what was the outcome, etc. Freshers usually don't have work history, so projects are their evidences. Vague project descriptions look incompetent, even if the work was solid. So treat projects like real products. State the problem, tech stack, your role, usage, metric, and any lessons learned, which is very important, because if you are mentioning lessons learned, it means you are welcome for constructive feedback as well. So instead, you just mention that I built this food ordering app for my college. Just to describe it, I developed this Android application which was backed by Firebase for campus food ordering, implemented real-time order updates, and sub 300 plus users. Right now it's being used in my college, something like that, so that people get influenced. This one happens, it is very general: typo, inconsistent tenses, severe formatting, small error signals lack of attention to detail. If you can polish your primary professional document, why should a hiring manager trust you with production code or client deliverables? Read your resume carefully. Read it once, read it again and again, read it aloud, or maybe get a peer to review for you. You can also use grammar tools, like for example in Word also we have this tool available, or you can search for any online tools are also available. Overly fancy resumes, multiple columns, tiny fonts, colorful infographics, or weird file types. One thing to note that ATS can't pass complex layouts. Recruiters often scan on mobile. Excessive design reduces readability and look unprofessional. So use a clean single column layout, maybe with clear headings, consistent fonts. Maybe you can go for any professional one, Helvetica, Calibri, there are multiple. And maybe have 10 to 12 point, which I use for body text, or normal PDF format. You can use it for use Word document or PDF format, either one is fine. And just keep it to minimum, keep it to 1 or 2 pages if you are into your earlier career, or maybe 2 to 3 pages if it is for a senior role. So that is it, what I had for this session. Your resume is your first conversation, just remember it, and it should clearly answer 3 questions for every entry. What did you build? How did you build it? And why did it matter? Fix these mistakes and your resume will stop being an obstacle and start opening your doors. I would love to hear your own resume struggles or any question in the comment section. And if you want this video useful, please like and subscribe. Here I share practical career advice right here on the Tech Talk with Ritesh. Thank you so much.